Good afternoon and welcome to East Brunswick's J. Doyle Field for this regular season finale between East Brunswick and Sayreville. High school football season coming to a close. Gordy Deal alongside Pete Haskell. And Pete, it's an overused cliche, but when these two teams get together, you really just throw the records out.
And the reason it is such an overused cliche is because it's so true. Certainly the situation here. The teams have met 28 times in the past, East Brunswick winning 27 of those 28 meetings.
And despite the fact that neither of these two teams are in the state playoffs, East Brunswick comes in at 3-5, but still has a lot to play for, and that with a win, they can move into a tie for fourth place in the GMC Red Division, while Sayreville, with a win, can move past Woodbridge and claim sole possession of third place.
It's been quite a run for the Bombers. Last year, their first winning season since 1968. Now, consecutive winning seasons in East Brunswick, a red-hot club, having won 3 of its last 4.
So it'll be 3-5 East Brunswick taking on 5-3 Sayreville right after this. Welcome back to East Brunswick's J. Doyle Field, getting set for this GMC Red Division matchup between East Brunswick and Sayreville. Gordy Deal alongside Pete Haskell, and going to pay tribute to a couple of the seniors before we get underway. First the cheerleaders and then a couple of the players. And 17 of these East Brunswick seniors will be leaving Marcus Borden's club next year.
Always a very bittersweet time of year for the seniors and for their parents. So much time put in and so much dedication, and it all comes to an end this afternoon.
Take a look at a couple of the cheerleaders being escorted. Renee Giroux at the front of the line, escorted by Mr. and Mrs. Joe Giroux. Anna Lambaris. Natalie Figaro and Carrie O'Brien. Temperature has sure changed drastically. It was sunny when we got here. See Kristen Twytle and Tiffany O'Brien.
And that is Tiffany right there with Mom and Dad. Mr. and Mrs. Tom O'Brien.
Next up is Jennifer Raskus.
That is Jennifer and her mom.
And last but not least, Lisa Zucchi, escorted by Mr. and Mrs. Richard Zucchi.
Has to be a very strange type of feeling after all the time that you put in, all the years, and time to move on for everybody.
That proverbial swan song.
Wonder how the parents feel. Good or bad?
I guess it couldn't happen at a more appropriate time of the year either. Changing of the seasons, changing of the leaves, changing of the guard.
Very profound of you, yet very true. I'm sure it's going to be difficult also for the coaches, for the cheerleaders, and for the players. I spoke to Marcus Borden about having to say goodbye to Varnell Johnson, who has meant so much to this offense. And he says, you know, it's bittersweet. It's going to be difficult. Some great memories of Varnell and all the other seniors, but time goes on.
We'll take a look at the senior football players now. Number 4 is Brian Cavalli, escorted by Dave Cavalli. Next up between the posts, number 6, Doug Spilker, accompanied by Lori Spilker.
And another one of the things that Coach Borden said was that he will try to get all of his seniors in, whether they generally play or not. A couple of them will be starters who usually are not starters.
This is Brian Tenora, accompanied by Paul and Kathy Tenora.
He really has been a mainstay on this team for a couple of years, the favorite target of Mark Neary this season.
And speaking of Mark Neary, number 13, escorted by Shirley and Hank Neary. Talk about bittersweet. I guess it's been bittersweet for Mark Neary, missing the first 4 games of the season and watching his team go 0-4 while sitting on the sidelines.
However, he came back and the Bears came back. They won 3 games in a row before losing last weekend to Madison Central.
Now perhaps one of the biggest play breakers in GMC. Number 19, Varnell Johnson, accompanied by Darlene and Varnell Johnson.
It has just been an outstanding season for Varnell Johnson. 2 touchdowns on kick returns, a long run from the line of scrimmage. He's done so much this season.
Taking a look there at Dan Amkraut, accompanied by Naomi and Eric Amkraut.
And Dan will get a start today.
26 is Bob Varela, accompanied by Bob and Ellen Varela.
Bob is also a starter at tight end. More noted for his blocking ability than for his ability to catch the football.
This is Dave Christensen, number 34, accompanied by Ed and Gene Christensen. And Dave certainly has done a lot of blue-collar work with the football this evening, or this year, I should say.
He sure has. A 100-yard game against J.P. Stevens earlier in the season. He's had a big year, stepping into the fullback when Eric Phillips was injured.
This is number 43, Alan Hua, accompanied by Gordon and Alice Hua.
And looks like perhaps a sibling.
Or two.
And Alan will get a start today also.
55 is Jay Adocio, accompanied by Joe and Betty Jane Adocio.
Jay, an all-GMC player last year, has been double-teamed an awful lot this year. He has played very well, despite the fact that teams have really keyed on him.
Getting a look now, number 56, Mark Wolfskell, accompanied by Mike and Joy Wolfskell, and certainly one of the best names. Sounds like a real linebacker name, Wolfskell.
And I tell you, he's one heck of a football player. He's been struggling with injuries this year, but the past couple of years he has been a real force up front.
Taking a look now at number 61, John Howley, accompanied by Bart and Marie Howley.
John Howley back in the lineup today. Suffered an ankle injury and missed last week's game. They thought he was going to be out for the season, but he will return this afternoon.
Number 64, Brian Krupinski, accompanied by Sandy and Henry Krupinski.
Another one of those great football names there.
Number 74 is Chris Bascom, accompanied by Cecil and Jane Bascom.
Chris Bascom, a starter on the offensive line.
Number 82 is Bob Cartwright, accompanied by Robert and Mary Cartwright.
And Rob has had a big season, averaging 17.2 yards a reception, possible big play type.
We talked about siblings before. That family, a whole lot of siblings in that Cartwright family. Number 83 is Dave Dixon, out on crutches with Ron and Marilyn Dixon.
Unfortunately, a starting inside linebacker was injured against J.P. Stevens, tore up his knee, and you can see he's hobbled on crutches, had knee surgery.
And last but not least is number 87, Bill Thiel, accompanied by Mr. and Mrs. Thiel.
And Bill has seen some playing time in his days. Not a starter, but he gets in there. 17 seniors for East Brunswick, and a real nice ceremony, an opportunity for the parents to get honored, really the unsung heroes, and so many athletic teams making sure their youngsters get to practices and games and the like, and you need such dedication.
And for so many of these athletes, it's just year-round, either if it's one sport to the next or one sport 12 months out of the year.
That's right, the camps and the weightlifting and the like. And as you mentioned, many of these individuals play more than one sport.
Sayreville also, with its seniors, 21 seniors, 10 of 11 on defense. Be I guess somewhat of a rebuilding year for Sal Mistretta next year. He's got some young players who have seen some time, and they'll need to step up and probably hit the weights and gain experience on the field next year as they start out their season.
But you know, Sayreville is really building a program. Last year, as we mentioned in the open, first winning season since 1968, now back-to-back winning season. They come up with a win today, really their best season in about 30 years. And as Sal Mistretta, the head coach, says, a lot of players now, a lot of the younger kids in the elementary schools and the middle schools saying, hey, we want to be Bombers. And that's where it all starts, right there. You have to have a commitment in the younger grades and make sure the program moves along smoothly. And that is certainly what has been happening here in East Brunswick. And Sayreville starting to look the same way.
We catch a look at Sayreville now, huddling up on the sideline, getting set to take on East Brunswick here at J. Doyle Field, and should be a good game. We talked about it before, boy, throwing the records out, and it would be great for Sayreville to knock off East Brunswick in this final game of the season, especially since East Brunswick has owned Sayreville over the last several years.
That's right.
I should say last several decades.
That's right. 27 of 28, East Brunswick has won. Interesting, the two head coaches, Sal Mistretta and Marcus Borden, are very, very good friends, and they had joked about making a deal where nobody would run the football, but Sal said that Marcus didn't believe that Sal, would live up to his end, and Sal said, I didn't think Marcus would live up to his end either, but we do expect there will be a lot of passing as the East Brunswick team prepares to hit the gridiron. East Brunswick with Mark Neary, the senior quarterback, leading the way, a very good leader. And when you say leading the way, you mean it not only on the field, but in an emotional sort of way. And Marcus Borden says when Mark Neary came back from his injury, he really sparked the team emotionally. And there really was a difference in the huddle and on the sidelines.
And that's him there, number 7. You can see him heading onto the field. Actually, Neary's 13. He's not 7. So a misidentification there, but it is a quarterback number nonetheless.
Number 7 being Emil Habib, who started when Neary was out at least one game and is a receiver who will see a significant amount of playing time. Very good athlete.
And good hands.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, moon from stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well done. Thank you, Amy and Kevin.
Well, if you were keeping an eye on the American flag whipping in the wind, there might be an alteration to some of the passing plans that some of these teams may have made for today. The wind has picked up here at J. Doyle Field as East Brunswick and Sayreville get set to lock horns.
And Gordy Sayreville with a very solid offensive line anchored by Jimmy Kirk, a 6'2", 250-pound senior. He is number 74. If you're taking a look at the offensive line for the Bombers, keep your eye on him. And because the tackle next to him, Bob Castellano, goes 240, you can imagine that Sayreville likes going to that right side. A couple of big boys over there.
Yeah, they do have some meat up front and backed up pretty amiably by Mark Russo, who will back up Castellano at tackle. He goes 220. He's a senior. And also Damian Mamain at 190, also a senior at 5'10". He will back up James Kirk. Kirk has just been outstanding for Sayreville.
Aaron Akelny is the starting quarterback, and one of the starting wideouts is DJ Cleary, and those two both juniors, so they'll be back next year. And Marcus Borden calls them one of the more dangerous passing combinations in the GMC. Certainly you would also think of Chris Kobalakowicz and Jason Moorman up in Woodbridge. But these two, Nakelny and Cleary, both coming back, and two players that really have hooked up on a number of big plays this season.
And they are backed up by Eric Warden, who plays tailback, and Scott Mish at fullback. A couple of the real hard hitters, too, for Sayreville as we catch a look at the coin toss.
And East Brunswick in a situation where it looks like East Brunswick will defend the goal that it wants to defend. You noticed Varnell Johnson and Jay Adocio pointing to the end zone to our left, so perhaps they are playing the wind a little bit.
James Kirk, Scott Mish, Eric Warden, and Brian Rathman, the Sayreville captains. We talked about it before, still plenty to play for, even though these two teams aren't going to be in the state playoffs. East Brunswick at 3-5 with a win can tie for 4th in GMC Red Division, while Sayreville with a win can finish at 6-3 and claim sole possession of 3rd place in the GMC Red Division. So still a lot on the line, and plus the fact that these teams have developed quite a rivalry over the past couple of seasons.
And part of it in part to the fact that Marcus Borden and Sal Mistretta are such good friends. They run a football camp together along with Jerry Yanchik, the head coach at Perth Amboy, a former offensive coordinator under Marcus Borden. It'll be East Brunswick kicking off. Jim Varick do the kicking from his 40. East Brunswick is wearing the green uniforms with the white numerals, green pants, white helmets. And Sayreville in the gray jerseys with the blue numerals. and the gray helmets. Varick getting set to kick off, and he does. It's going to come down to Joey Caballero, up across the 20. 25 loses the ball, free ball, and East Brunswick has it. Tom Ruggia with a recovery for the Bears, and big play early on for East Brunswick.
Well, we have found a momentum builder already off the bat. Big play for East Brunswick, and wow, what a way to start off the game, right on the Sayreville 23-yard line.
And Sal Mastretta, he said it was important for his club, Sayreville, to start quickly. That is not the way to do it. East Brunswick will start out from the Sayreville 23. Tenora goes wide to the right side, and backs are in the eye. The pitch comes to Johnson. They do the reverse to Varick. A lot of room, cuts inside the 20-yard line before he's brought down by DJ Cleary. So a little trickery on that first play.
Well, there's no way better than to, I guess, get the best of your opponent while he's down. Sayreville fumbles the opening kickoff, and East Brunswick comes right back with a trick play to try to put 6 on the board from 23 yards out.
Pickup down to the 16, so a 7-yard pickup. Bring up a 2nd and 3. Neary rolling, looking for Y, and it is picked off. No, it is not picked off. Nearly picked off. Alan Y had that one in his sights and had his hands on it, but just couldn't grasp it. And for Y, he is getting that start because he's a senior, a 6-foot, 142-pounder.
Well, Damian Mamain that time, all kinds of pressure on East Brunswick quarterback Mark Neary. Mamain came pretty much untouched through that offensive line and gave Neary a shot right after he released the ball.
3rd and 3 from the 16 of Sayreville for East Brunswick. Christensen and Johnson are the backs behind Neary. That's Christensen, and not much doing. Tom McCormick in on the stop for Sayreville. So short of the first down in a 4th down situation.
I think Dave Christensen, one of the unsung football players in the GMC, he is a workhorse and is a very solid running back.
And Mike Gordon will come on to attempt a field goal. He is 1 of 2 on the season, and that one was a big one against J.P. Stevens, a game the Bears won 16-14. The holder is Tenora. Kick is up, and it is no good. Just off the mark.
That must have been about a yard shy of that crossbar. So East Brunswick threatens early, but can't come up with anything.
So Mike Gordon had an opportunity, and Sayreville will take over, and the Bombers have to feel very, very fortunate after Caballero fumbled the opening kickoff, and Tom Ruggia came up with it.
Well, Sayreville made a strong defensive showing, so we'll see if they can turn that momentum around and use it on offense.
Bombers start out from their own 20-yard line, and again, that quarterback is junior Harry McKelney. Pitch comes to Warden, 20, 25, fumble again, loose ball. Looks like the Bears might have it once more, and indeed they do. What a way to start for Sayreville. 2 fumbles.
To throw in the fact that we almost had an interception by Sayreville, and we could have had 3 turnovers in the first 4 plays of the ball game.
I guess why waste time? Turn it over early. And East Brunswick will start out again from the Sayreville 31-yard line.
Kind of ironic that this is the season finale. You would think that these teams have all the basics down by now. Sayreville a little rusty early on.
To wonder if the rain delay, the 2 days off, had anything to do with it. That's Johnson fighting across the 30-yard line for East Brunswick. They'll mark it as a 2-yard gain for the Bears.
Well, Varnell Johnson, we mentioned it before, one of those players who can break open a game at any point, break off the big run, and put 6 on the board. He's a special player.
And he is being recruited by some Division I schools. Marcus Borden says he thinks Johnson can make it as a wide receiver. 2nd and 8 from the 29. Neary rolling, looking downfield, looking for room across the 30, fires on the move to Cavalli. He's got him at the 15. as Brian Cavalli, one of those seniors, comes up with his 8th reception of the year. Cavalli, a 5'9", 157-pounder. And that'll be a first down for the Bears down to the 15-yard line, so a 14-yard pickup on the play.
Good solid hit by Eric Wharton coming out of that Sayreville secondary. He laid a real pop on Cavalli.
8:50 remaining in period number 1. East Brunswick and Sayreville are scoreless at J. Doyle Field. Pete Haskell along with Gordy Deal. First man through is Christensen. 10, cuts back, and brought down right near the 5-yard line. That was Cleary on the tackle, number 20 for Sayreville, but good yardage for Dave Christensen. And he is just shy of the first down, so East Brunswick with 2nd and less than a yard. Habib goes wide out to the left side. Tenora comes to the right side, 2nd and inches. Backs are the eye. Christensen is the fullback, and Varnell Johnson is the tailback. That's Johnson in motion out of the backfield to the right side. Christensen up the middle. First down yardage, not much more than that. Pushed back by the Sayreville defense, but they will mark his progress as Mike Sanchez, one of the tacklers for the Bombers.
A good job by Sayreville, even though they gave up the first down yardage, but their backs are against the wall now with East Brunswick threatening. They missed the field goal earlier before, and now they're hungry for 6.
Second drive of the game for East Brunswick after Sayreville's second turnover. Hua goes wide to the left side. It is Tenor to the right. Pitch comes to Johnson in trouble, and he's going to be thrown for a 1 or 2 yard loss. Good defensive play. James Kirk, number 74, one of the defensive players. As Cavalli reports in with a play, replacing Hua. This will bring up 2nd and goal from the 6 for East Brunswick. Cavalli goes wide to the left, Tenor to the right. Backs are split this time behind Neary. Rolling again, feeling the heat, fires incomplete, but James Kirk in there once again, number 74 for Sayreville, as Varnell Johnson was hoping for something. Now a flag comes in late.
We're going to get an unsportsmanlike call against East Brunswick. Jim Kirk had some words with one of the East Brunswick players, and one of the Bears pushed Kirk as he was heading back to his huddle, and the retaliation always gets caught. So East Brunswick shoots itself in the foot here.
Not something you want to do. You're driving deep. You do not want to push yourself backwards. And we mentioned that Kirk was putting pressure on Neary, the quarterback. So they mark it back to the 21-yard line. And that's a 3rd down play now. You're looking at 3rd and goal from the 21. Long way to go. And that means let's send everybody out. 3 wide receivers to the left side. Varick, Habib, and Tenora. Now Johnson in motion out of the backfield also goes to the left side. Neary shotgun, looks for the screen. Johnson at the 25, and not much else doing as the Sayreville defense was ready for it. Brian Rathbun, number 42, went on the tackle for the Bombers.
So East Brunswick that time shooting itself in the foot with the unsportsmanlike penalty. Big difference on that play.
Looks like they might try a field goal here. This is going to be a long one. This will be about a 42-yarder. We'll see where they place that tee. This is going to be a 42-yarder. And while Gordon missed a 33-yarder early, Jim Varick will take a go. Brian Tenora again will be the holder. Placed down cleanly. Good distance, but it is wide to the left side. Well, 2 great opportunities for East Brunswick. Bears unable to capitalize on either of them. Not to blame Jim Varick on that one, though. That was a heck of a pop, and he did indeed get the distance, but not nearly good enough.
Well, it's been a bizarre series of events so far. East Brunswick unable to use that great momentum and capitalizing on the Sayreville turnovers, and now we'll see what kind of emotional change it is for East Brunswick, which has to be feeling discouraged at this point, and Sayreville, which must feel it has dodged a couple of bullets.
6:10 remaining in the first. No score, 3 wideouts to the right side for the Bombers. Handoff comes to the first man through is Scott Mish. And not much doing offensively. They sent out those 3 wide receivers, 1 setback, and that setback Mish the big fullback, the 5'7", 175-pound senior, picks up a yard. 5:50 remaining in the first period. We're scoreless.
First time that Sayreville will run 2 offensive plays in a row.
McKelney again, the 6'1", 190-pound junior. Sends 3 wideouts to the right side again. Now the tight end Rathbun goes up and lines up on the right side as well. Pitch comes back to Warden, but flags are down as Bob Varela, 26, was in for the hit, but that whistle coming before the play, and the East Brunswick players are clapping. Excuse me, the Sayreville players are clapping. Encroachment against East Brunswick, so Bears hurting themselves once again.
East Brunswick a little over anxious that time. They've got to stay composed if they want to be successful in beating Sayreville.
And believe me, the Sayreville players do know what the career record of this series is. 27 wins for East Brunswick and 1 for Sayreville. This will bring up a 2nd and 4 at the 26 on the penalty to East Brunswick. 3 wideouts to the right side once again. McKelney will call signals. This is Warden, right side, 25, 30, breaks a tackle up to the 34. As Varnell Johnson came up from his safety position to make the hit, but first down yardage for Eric Warden.
Good 8-yard pickup by Warden. You can see once he gets his shoulders square to the field, he can be dangerous.
He is a game-breaking type, 5'10", 180. He is a senior, runs about a 4.6 40. And Sayreville, after turning the ball over twice early, once on the opening kickoff and once from its first play from scrimmage after East Brunswick couldn't convert, getting an opportunity. Mish the lone setback. That is Joey Cavallero in motion, stops as a wing back. They run a little trap. That's Cavallero. Not much doing, right up to the line of scrimmage, and not much more than that. It is a windy, breezy Sunday afternoon at J. Doyle Field in East Brunswick. This game originally scheduled for Friday night was postponed because of rain, and while it was warm on Friday night, it was certainly wet. Now it is dry and chill coming around in the air as that wind picks up a little bit. The 2nd and 9 for Sayreville from the 35. Backs are in the eye now. Warden is the tailback, Mish is the fullback. Play action. McKelney under pressure. Looks to get away from Adocio and does. And is finally brought down at the 40-yard line as Anthony Gerbovac, the 5'11", 199-pound junior, makes the tackle.
A good pursuit that time by Gerbovac, and he got a chance to see what a good athlete that Harry McKelney is.
So this will bring up about a 3rd and 5 for Sayreville as good pressure forced McKelney out of the pocket. 3:35 remaining in this first period. We are scoreless. Sayreville and East Brunswick. Warden goes out to a wideout spot on the right side. Cleary comes to the left. Mish, the lone setback. That's Mish. Right up to the line of scrimmage across the 40. And not much else doing. As that was Dan Amkrat getting a start as a senior and coming up with a hit, number 21. He's a 5'8", 175-pounder. I'm sure makes him feel good to get in on a couple of plays. Doesn't usually see extensive playing time.
Yeah, it's contribute to both of these coaches getting their seniors some work on the final game of the regular season. Neither of these teams heading to the state playoffs.
McKelney will drop back to punt, and Varnell Johnson and Emil Habib go deep. A high spiraling kick. That'll be Habib, who lets it bounce at the 25, called the fair catch, bounces to the 24. And it is down there by Scott Mish. So East Brunswick will take over from its own 25, we will call it. That's where they mark the nose of the football. Bears have had 2 good scoring opportunities, but have failed to convert. Mike Gordon missed a 33-yard field goal when East Brunswick took over at Sayreville's 23, and then after a Warden fumble, East Brunswick took over the Bombers' 31, drove down to the 6, then went backwards to the 25, and Jim Varick missed a 42-yard field goal. 2 wideouts come to the right side. Handoff, that's Johnson. Not much doing, just back to the line of scrimmage. And the Sayreville defense is playing tough. Damian Mamain coming up with the tackle for Sayreville.
Mamain was in there first, had Varnell Johnson by a shirt tail.
2:10 remaining in the first period. Sayreville, a very, very solid club. 2 shutouts this season in 3 occasions. They've only given up, 4 occasions. They've given up 1 touchdown. 3 times 7 points, 1 time 8 point. Neary rolling, overthrows Cavalli, and it's incomplete. Cavalli was being covered by Keith Dwyer. Cavalli could not get to it.
I'll tell you what did get to it, and that was the wind. I think Neary's
sure
pass at that point really lifted it right over Cavalli's head. He was open, and Neary found him. Just the ball drifted way over Cavalli's head. He never had a chance. I think you got to fault that one to the wind.
Brian Cavalli is a 5'9", 157-pound senior, but this is his first year playing football with the Bears. Played soccer prior to this, but decided he wanted to give football a go, and he's done a nice job. Hua goes out to the left, Tenor to the right. Backs are split behind Neary. Rolls to his right. Has some help with some blockers, feeling the heat, and he is taken down. That's Jim Kirk there once again, along with Damian Mamain. Kirk number 74 and Mamain number 60. And Neary ran into one of his own blockers.
Oh, they better start blocking Jim Kirk and Damian Mamain, because it's going to be a long afternoon for East Brunswick if they can't stop those two. They have done an excellent job of penetrating so far for Sayreville. And Kirk has just been a tremendous story all year, mostly on the offensive side of the ball.
Marcus Borden with a couple of words for Neary as he comes off the field, and Jim Varick will drop back to punt. That'll be Cavallero and Cleary to receive. 20 is Cleary, and he will let it bounce. Varnell Johnson looks for the East Brunswick roll, and he gets not a bad one inside the 40-yard line before they finally touch it down at the 39. So East Brunswick offense stalls once again, and Sayreville will take over from its own 40. Well, this is actually the best field position that the Bombers have seen so far. Exactly 1 minute remaining, and again, the wind is starting to kick up, and Gordy, as you mentioned, really showed on that Mark Neary pass. This will be a 1st and 10 for the Bombers. Back to split. Man in motion is Nick Lordi, the wingback. Cleary wide to the left. And that is Warden with nowhere to go. Good defensive stop. Jay Adocio in there for East Brunswick, along with a couple of his friends. Anthony Gerbavac was there. Gerbavac number 71. And Harry McKelney goes over to the sideline to take a look at the signals, an up-close look at the signals from head coach Sal Mistretta is over there. And Vince Mistretta, Sal's father, in his final game as an assistant coach for the Bombers. Real nice story there that the two of them have worked together in relative harmony. Father and son, with the son as the head coach and the father as the assistant. This will be a 2nd and 12 for Sayreville. Now they go to that wishbone backfield. And flags fly. And that's actually no flag, just whistles. That is the end of the first period of play. East Brunswick and Sayreville scoreless as they will switch sides.
It'll be interesting to see what Sayreville can do. They've had some problems with the turnovers so far, and they need a little momentum right now. They come in with the 5-3 record, taking on this 3-5 East Brunswick club, and a heated GMC Red Division matchup. Sayreville has been sloppy so far, but we've had a chance to see what Eric Warden can do when he gets his shoulders square with the field. I think Sayreville's going to continue to try to run the ball before Harry McKelney goes to the air.
And it's interesting because you know that neither coach is pleased with what he is seeing. You also know that while they both like to throw the ball a lot, the wind might cause some kind of problem and might not allow them to do some of the things they like to do. Marcus Borden is the master of the intricate and complex and tricky play. And of course, he's got some device for his running game as well, but he might be just a little bit limited in his ability to put the ball downfield, as will the Bombers.
You know, when we first got here this afternoon, had some partly sunny skies and it was relatively warm, but since the start of the game, the wind has picked up and it's gotten maybe about 8 degrees cooler. The conditions certainly have changed.
So maybe a pair of gloves or hot chocolate would do well right now. Yeah, but I guess this is football weather as we get set to begin period number 2. Pete Haskell and Gordy Deal at J. Doyle Field in East Brunswick. Bears and the Sayreville Bombers are scoreless. Sayreville facing a 2nd and 12 from its own 38-yard line. Backs are split. Now they shift it to the I, and Lodi drops back, so a power I formation. Play action. Varela with pressure. Pass incomplete. Habib, the closest one to it is Christensen. Put the quarterback, McKelney, on his back. Good pressure, though, by number 26, Bob Varela, on the play.
McKelney did have some time. He bought himself a little bit of time, but the pass just went incomplete. And again, you have to wonder about the wind factor.
So Sayreville now in a certain passing situation, a 3rd and 12 from the 37th. East Brunswick's defense showing that it is a very, very powerful unit. Tom Roberts goes wide to the left side along with Cleary. Rathbun also lined up on the left side. Caballero is out as well. McKelney loses his footing. He's going deep downfield, and he's got a man complete at the 30, down to the 26. Habib bringing him down as Tom Roberts was out there for the reception, number 24. As he gets some congratulations for his teammates, fully extended on that one. A beautiful pass and a beautiful catch.
That's just tremendous concentration by Tom Roberts. And he's only a junior, so he'll be back for Sal Mistretta next year. That was just a tremendous catch. And Harry McKelney able to buy some time. We got a good block from Eric Warden. Jay Adocio able to get some pressure, but Warden made a good key block to buy a little bit of extra time for McKelney.
36-yard pickup. Harry McKelney to Tom Roberts down to the East Brunswick 26. Backs in the eye, Bears show blitz. And they come, and Warden with a whole lot of trouble. 71, Anthony Gerbavac in there again. We've mentioned his name a handful of times already.
Barnell Johnson got some penetration that time also, picking some grass from his helmet as he got out of that pile.
And we have a timeout as Jim Kirk gets a bit of a lecture from one of the Sayreville assistants. Doesn't look all too pleased either. Sayreville offense with a big play now, trying to capitalize and put some points on the scoreboard. Boy, you can tell this assistant is just all kinds of fired up. And Jim Kirk continues to get lectured to.
Well, probably one of the reasons that he's the leader of that offensive unit. He has done a tremendous job all season for Sayreville on the right side of that offensive line. So if he's the one you go to when you need some lecturing, and he can relay the message certainly to the other players.
That was a good defensive stand by the Bears. As a loss of 2 for Sayreville, this brings up a 2nd and 12. 3 wideouts go to the right side this time. Warden is the lone setback. That is Warden. And again, swarm number 29, Varick is there. Loose ball, but they had blown it down previously. And Varick is 29, and 55 is Jay Adocio in there. So Warden loses another one. They mark it back to the 29, and this will bring up a 3rd and 13.
Sayreville now finding all kinds of problems with this East Brunswick defense. Bears so far have stumbled a couple of times, failing to convert deep inside Sayreville territory after a couple of turnovers, but it's been the defense that's risen to the occasion.
Harry McKelney brings his team to the line of scrimmage. That's Lodi in motion, number 11 from right to left. Cleary is wide to the left side as well. Backs in the eye. McKelney back, takes the hit, gets it off, but incomplete. Jay Adocio putting the crunch on the quarterback. And that is 23, Marty Lucarello back there, as the pass was intended for Brian Rathbun, who you see right there.
Good pressure again that time from Jay Adocio, that Sayreville offensive line having problems with the center of the East Brunswick defensive line, specifically Jay Adocio.
So a 4th and 13 coming up from the East Brunswick 29 for Sayreville. Bombers are going for it. They are in a running formation now. Cleary splits out wide to the left, and that is Lodi, number 11. Cleary is to his left side. McKelney back. Going deep downfield for Cleary, and incomplete. Looked for a moment as if Cleary might have it, or Varnell Johnson, number 19 of East Brunswick, might have it, but then it fell harmlessly to the turf. The East Brunswick defense holds, and the Bears offense will come out on the field.
Varnell Johnson limping a little bit after that play. It was DJ Cleary who really made a terrific timing leap. Beat Varnell Johnson on that play in the air. Varnell keeping a close eye on Cleary, but Cleary made a great timing leap, just couldn't come up with it. Good defense by Varnell Johnson.
Wah and Tenora out to the right side. East Brunswick 1st and 10 from its own 30. Varnell Johnson and Rathbun with the stick for Sayreville. And Johnson picks up perhaps a yard, not much more than that. Varnell Johnson took a good stick from the defense that time. Johnson has rushed for 547 yards this season, averaging 6.8 a carry. He's also rushed for 5 touchdowns. Also has 2 touchdowns receiving, 19 receptions for 278 yards. That averages 14.5 yards a catch. Not too bad. Neary 2nd and 9, rolls to his right, looks for Tenora, and he can't hang on. Incomplete pass for East Brunswick. A bit of a break in the clouds. Wind is still rather strong, but a little bit of blue mixing in with the gray overhead. Brian Tenora, number 10, extending fully on that play, but couldn't hang on. East Brunswick now faced with a 3rd and 9 from the 31. It's been a tightly fought contest, but not much to speak of, aside from that one big play by Sayreville. Neary rolling to his right, under pressure, eludes one tackler. He's throwing for Varick, and he was fully extended when he was hit and couldn't quite reach that football, and East Brunswick will have to punt it away.
Well, I think Cleary might have been better off not throwing that ball and just getting it more out of bounds. He really threw that up for grabs. There were 3 Sayreville defenders in the area. I almost came up with the interception.
So 4th down now for East Brunswick from its own 31. And that will mean it's time for Jim Varick. Cavallero goes back to receive. Instinct to see if Sayreville has a block on here. They usually send two people deep, and now they only have 1. They're coming on strong, and it's a low line drive kick. Cavallero lets it bounce over his head at the 30 and bounces toward the sideline before East Brunswick goes over. And the Beeb downs it at the 26. So Sayreville will now take over from its own 26, 9-10 remaining in the 2nd period. East Brunswick and Sayreville still scoreless. 2 very potent offenses. Not much doing at this point.
East Brunswick's defense really the key so far because the offense has not been able to take advantage of the Sayreville turnovers.
Tight formation for the Bombers. Harry McKelney is the junior quarterback. Quick 3-step drop, and it's incomplete as Cleary had that ball in his hands, just couldn't hold on.
You won't see that too often. DJ Cleary unable to hang on to a ball that was right in his hands. He was already looking where he was going rather than concentrating on the ball.
And that brings up a 2nd and 10 for Sayreville from the 26. McKelney looking to the sidelines, waiting for the relay man to come in. This time it's Mark Russo. He transfers the play to the quarterback, who tells them when he wants it done. Jim Kirk, number 74, the big offensive lineman, big right guard. Wide outs to either side. McKelney, quick drop. He's going downfield for Cleary one more time, and he overthrows him. Habib in coverage for East Brunswick. And that brings up a 3rd and 10.
You know, Habib did a nice job that time. That was a little timing pattern along the sideline. McKelney laid it up there, but Habib was right there even if the ball had been thrown on target.
So Sayreville, twice in a row, quick 2-3-step drop and fire it down the sidelines. Unsuccessful on both occasions. Lordi is wide to the right side, and Cleary goes to the left. McKelney, the quarterback, straight back. Looks for Lordi, and it is broken up. Nice defensive play by Marty Lucarello. Lucarello was there defensively for East Brunswick. He's a 5'5", 150-pound junior, and now Sayreville will punt it away.
That was just great timing by Marty Lucarello that time. Tremendous job on that pass defense.
So Habib and Johnson go deep for East Brunswick as McKelney will do the punting. He'll be standing at his 11-yard line waiting to receive the snap. The two receivers at the East Brunswick 41.
And you see the shadow, the sun is back out again.
A very high wobbling kick. Johnson calls the fair catch and takes it at the 44. And East Brunswick will take over from there, its own 44-yard line. Good field position for the Bears. We'll see if the offense can get rolling.
Well, we said before, it's been the defense that has done the job so far for East Brunswick. The offense has just not been able to capitalize, and more we're starting to see this game being played between the 20s.
East Brunswick first down. Again, Bears had two good opportunities off turnovers, but couldn't convert. Mark Neary leads the team to the line of scrimmage. Backs are split behind him. Two wideouts come to the left. Christensen in motion to the right. That's Johnson. And again, tripped up right near the line of scrimmage. Ryan Rathbun, number 42, with the tackle for Sayreville. Johnson having some trouble getting things going this afternoon.
Well, the field is still a little bit soft from the rains we've had the last couple of days. But Varnell Johnson is good enough to make those adjustments.
He picks up 3 up to the 47. Bears hoping to come up with a big play as Habib, number 7, comes to the near side, the left side. Tenora also on that side. Johnson with a pitch. Rathbun there again, and he is spun down by number 74, Jim Kirk. And you want to talk about a size mismatch there. Jim Kirk goes 6'2", 250. Varnell Johnson goes 5'9", 148, so he's giving up 100 pounds and change. And a loss of 2 on the play.
Got to credit that Sayreville defense. They've really done the job so far. And interesting to note, East Brunswick hasn't won a game at home this season. They're 0-3, while East Brunswick is 2-2 on the road.
Backs are split. First man, Christensen, breaks a tackle and continues to fight forward down near the 45 of Sayreville. That is one thing about Christensen. He runs hard, and he keeps the legs moving, takes a hit, doesn't matter, just keeps going. Down to the 46 of Sayreville.
And I think I thought originally he was going to have enough for the first down, but the spot now I'm not so sure. But I'll tell you, that was the only reason that Christensen is anywhere near that first down marker, is because he kept his legs moving.
Chain gang comes on to measure. He did appear to be very close. And we'll take a look, just a little bit short. Maybe a length of the football and then some. Now, Marcus Borden considers this 2-down territory. He might consider going for a big play here. So that's a Sayreville 46. Tenora is the lone wideout. They go with the power eye backfield. This is Johnson, stopped up, charging forward, and he is thrown back for a loss. Strong defensive effort, number 37, Keith Dwyer, making the hit for Sayreville, and an excellent defensive stand.
Tough break for East Brunswick there. They gave it to their go-to man, Varnell Johnson. Unable to convert. Credit that Sayreville defense. They've done the job all afternoon and continue to do so.
Well, we mentioned that the Bombers were big up front, and they are showing the size and power with 6:13 remaining in this first half. Sayreville takes over from its own 47. McKelney, the quarterbacks. Backs are in the eye behind him. That's Warden. Gerbevak is in there defensively. Number 71, 34 is Christensen as they unstack that pile. And no gain on the play. East Brunswick's defense coming up strong.
Yeah, we said before, this game is starting to be played between the 20s. Defenses have really stepped it up a notch, and well, that's really the factor you can look for when two rivalries such as this get together. It's going to be the defense that makes the difference. So far, it's been all defense.
And the way things are going, it could be special teams which makes the difference. 2nd and 10 for the Sayreville 47. And whistles are blown and flags are thrown before anything gets started. Encroachment against the defense in East Brunswick, giving up 5 yards the easy way to Sayreville. So the Bombers move into the Bears territory to the 48. That brings up a 2nd and 5. They get the clock going. 5:15 remaining in the first half. We're scoreless.
Now the wind has died down a little bit. We'll see if there's a couple of passing plays that are successful here.
That's Cleary moving out to the right side for Sayreville. Warden with a handoff. Across the 45-yard line. Habib in there with the tackle along with Anthony Gerbovac. Once again, it's been quite an afternoon for Anthony Gerbovac as Eric Warden picked up the carry. A first down pickup and 1st and 10 at the East Brunswick 43 for Sayreville. That's Cleary in motion to the right. Lordi, number 11, is the wing back. Fumble on the snap, loose ball. Looks like the Bombers came up with it once again. That is Scott Mish at the bottom of the pile, coming up with that muffed snap.
Well, Sayreville has seen enough turnovers already as it is. They fumbled the first 2 times they had possession of the ball.
As a matter of fact, even before they had possession of the ball in the opening kickoff. Loss of 2 back to the 45. This brings up a 2nd and 12. Cleary goes out to the left side. Lordi is the wing back on the left side also. McKelney play action. Looking deep downfield. He's going for Cleary. And Habib can't hold on either as it falls incomplete. Habib, number 7 for East Brunswick. He's a junior. And number 20, Cleary, going downfield for Sayreville. That'll bring up a 3rd down and 12.
That was just a tremendous effort by DJ Cleary. He just went absolutely airborne, parallel to the ground, doing anything to try to get a grab on that ball, but Habib read it well, and Jay Adosio got some good penetration from the center of that East Brunswick defensive line and forced Harry McKelney to throw it a little bit sooner than he probably wanted to.
Adosio has had another real nice season. Might not get the all GMC honors as he did a year ago, but again, he does not have the linebackers like Pazinko and Kammerer behind him. Matt Pazinko and Scott Kammerer, a couple of outstanding inside backers a year ago. 3rd and 12. Pressure from Zemansky. McKelney gets it off incomplete. And a good move by McKelney to avoid the sack as Lordi, number 11, was the closest player to the ball. And not even he was that close. So 4th down situation from the 45. And we'll see if Sayreville decides to punt. Likely they will. McKelney, the quarterback, is also the punter, so he drops back now to his own 42-yard line. Habib and Johnson will stand at their 14, waiting. An end-over-end kick, wobbling, bouncing down inside the 20, down to the 17 where Brian Rathbun touches it down. And East Brunswick will take over from there. So Mark Neary, the East Brunswick quarterback, will hope to get things going. 3:36 to go in this first half. East Brunswick and Sayreville still scoreless.
These 2 teams just grinding it out in the trenches. Really no movement from either side. East Brunswick with the early opportunities after Sayreville fumbled the opening kickoff and then fumbled the very next time they had the ball, but East Brunswick unable to capitalize. A couple of missed field goals. The wind made it tough for Mike Gordon early on. He missed that 33-yarder.
And Jim Varick missed a 42-yarder. Neary, the quarterback, back split behind him. That's Varick. Across the 15 to the 17. As Keith Dwyer made the hit. Varick is now carried 32 times on the season, averaging just about 2.5 yards a rush. And he didn't even get that much. Right back to the line of scrimmage at the 17. Well, you wonder if that wind is having something to do with the play calling, because East Brunswick really has been going downfield as much as we had thought. Neary rolling, looking. Habib can't hold on at the 20. Incomplete. And now a 3rd down and 10.
Well, Habib visibly upset with himself, and Ball hit him right square in the chest, just couldn't hold on to it that time, and uncharacteristic of him, we saw the same thing happen to DJ Cleary of Sayreville, and one went right through his hand, so maybe these guys tending to look upfield right now, a little over anxious on offense since nothing has really happened so far. Somebody trying to look to break off the big one.
And Varnell Johnson is sitting on the bench, not being tended to by anyone, but Jim Varick taking a spot as the eye back behind Dave Christensen. 2 receivers to the right side, 3rd and 10. Varick goes in motion to the right. That's Christensen right up the middle, and not much doing. So the Sayreville defense holding against Scott Mish in on the hit along with Brian Rathbun. And East Brunswick will punt once more, 2:22 remaining in this first half. This Bears offense is just plain stalled at this point. As Joey Cavallero goes deep, he is standing at his own 42-yard line. Varick will do the punting again. Sayreville usually sends 2 men deep. We'll see if they go for the block. It's a good snap, strong rush, and Varick gets it off as it goes out of bounds right near midfield. Well, it seemed as if Sayreville was going for it, but the Bombers unable to get any piece of that football. They actually will spot the ball at the East Brunswick 48. So good field position for Sayreville with 1:49 to go. Get that 2-minute drill cranking.
So that Sayreville defense continues to put pressure on East Brunswick, and while the Bears can't move the ball, Sayreville winds up getting a little bit better and better field position every time Sayreville kicks it, every time East Brunswick punts it away.
And while Varnell Johnson was not in on the last series offensively, he is in defensively. That's Rathbun in motion, tight end strong to the left side. Now 3 wideouts to the right. McKelney has that ball knocked down at the line of scrimmage.
Nick Szymanski in there. Got a piece of McKelney's arm just as he released it. Good penetration. Szymanski really started to penetrate. And the left side of that Sayreville offensive line is really away from Castellano and Kirk, where a lot of that meat is. On the other side where Tom McCormick is, he only goes 160, only a sophomore, and Brian Rathbun, a tight end over there, and guard Dan Dwyer are really not all that big.
2nd and 10 from the East Brunswick 49 for Sayreville. Bears a lot of movement on defense. Blitz is on. McKelney scrambling. Varela gets him from behind. Bob Varela, number 26, with a sack for East Brunswick. And excellent coverage by the East Brunswick defense.
Well, Pete, you said it before, and it's looking more and more like it might be a special teams play to break this game. These teams continue to squeeze each other between the 20s.
A 3rd down situation, and 15 for Sayreville. And again, Anthony Gerbovac and Jay Adocio doing it up front for East Brunswick. Bob Varela and Nick Szymanski also there along with Dan Michalski. Clary splits out wide to the right, backs in the eye. Pitch comes to Warden, midfield, and just across into East Brunswick territory, so well short of that 1st down, as 50 seconds remaining as he goes out of bounds. They mark it at the 49, which was the original line of scrimmage, so it brings up a 4th and 10. And again, Johnson and Habib will go back deep to receive the punt. Harry McKelney, the punter.
A little bit like East Brunswick's game last week against Madison Central. Very slow developing, slow pace.
Officials want to stop things before they get going. Not quite sure what this is all about. Official on the far side of the field pointing at something. They're going to have a discussion now right at the football. Now he'll run back the other way. A little relay system here. I don't think he likes where the chains are or something. Yep, they're going to move him. Well, it's a good thing he did that on 4th down, a punting situation. All right, we're all set to resume. 50 seconds remaining. McKelney to punt. Johnson and Habib deep. Low snap. McKelney on the 1 hop. and shanks it off badly to the right side. Takes a Sayreville bounce and goes out at the 32-yard line. So East Brunswick will get one more shot, 40 seconds remaining. This is when the Bears usually employ what Marcus Borden calls the green gun. They'll go with 4 or 5 wide receivers, and it generally causes all kinds of coverage problems for the defense.
It worked well the first couple of times they used it last week against Madison Central, able to move the ball against that tough Spartans defense, but then it sputtered after a couple of adjustments were made.
3 wideouts go to the right side, 1 back. Here's the trap to Johnson, 35, 40, 45, spins up to the 47-yard line. Good running by Varnell Johnson. Brian Rathbun with a tackle up to the 48-yard line. 33 seconds remaining, and East Brunswick will take a timeout. And Gordy looked like it would be a passing situation with 3 wideouts and just 1 back, Neary in the shotgun, but trap to Johnson, and he found just a little bit of a seam and was able to slice through it in a hurry.
Well, one of the many ways you can use Varnell Johnson, either as the decoy man or as the go-to guy, and that time picked up 16 yards on that carry. Good bit of twisting and turning and cutting and changing directions for Varnell Johnson, who we said before could score from anywhere on the field at any time.
He has been essentially shut down in this game until that last play that we saw. You know that Marcus Borden wants to put the ball up. It just seems like it is his character as a coach that he wants to throw the football. The team has not done it successfully today. Again, whether the wind is that much to do with it or not, we're not sure, but it certainly doesn't make things any easier for quarterback Mark Neary.
Well, this seems to be a far cry from last year's game, which East Brunswick won by the score of 20-8. Here we have no points with just 33 seconds left to play in the first half.
East Brunswick breaks from the huddle. Now here's where we see it, the green gun, 5 wide receivers to the right side, Neary in the shotgun. Neary rolling, looking downfield. Throws for Tenora, has him at the 40-yard line. So a nice pickup of 12 yards down to the Sayreville 40. And 27 seconds, the beautiful sideline pattern, so Tenora was able to stop the clock. Just what you want to do, you want to flood that zone to the right side, causes problems with coverage, and a lot of confusion with so many players on one side of the field. 1st and 10 from the Sayreville 40. Now they'll put their 4 wideouts and their tight end on the left side. Neary being pressured by Rathbun, and he is brought down in midfield. Brian Rathbun, number 42 with the sack, as Neary looked like he had a little trouble and might have slipped on that soft turf. And East Brunswick will take another timeout with 19 seconds remaining.
Yeah, he definitely slipped down before he was touchdown. So problems for East Brunswick there. Neary under all kinds of pressure. Bring up a 2nd down and long right from midfield.
Well, the clock is important as anything else under these circumstances. 2 more plays, at least 19 seconds. And with 19 seconds, you're not going to get many more than 2 plays off anyway. I imagine 3. Outside shot at 4. So basically, you're not looking at 20 yards for the first down. You are looking at 50 yards to the end zone, or maybe 35 yards to get into some kind of safe field goal range. 19 seconds remaining. East Brunswick and Sayreville still scoreless as Marcus Borden addressing his troops offensively. Marcus with the offensive lineman mentality, the short sleeves today, although it is getting a little bit chilly. 4 wideouts go wide to the right side. Neary in the shotgun. 19 seconds remaining in the first half. Gets the hitter out to Habib. He's looking. He's going to throw it back crossfield to Varela at the 45. He spins around. Looks like a face mask. He's free. 45, 40 of Sayreville. Tries to get out of bounds, and he does. Excellent play by Bob Varela to get out of bounds. Well, Marcus Borden came off the field with a big smile on his face, and we spoke earlier about he loves those trick plays, and that was one of them right there. It was a beauty.
You love those trick plays as well. That's your favorite play, isn't it?
I do. That is my favorite play. And you see that a few times during the course of a high school football season, but that is definitely one of the better ones. And that ball down to the 35, 6 seconds remaining. And with the penalty, they will move it down to the 20-yard line. And East Brunswick takes its final timeout. Well, you're looking at about a 37-yard field goal, or 20 yards to the end zone for 6 points. East Brunswick has already missed 2 field goals. Mike Gordon missed one, as did Jim Varick, and it looks like the Bears will line up for a field goal. Here comes Gordon coming back on the field. So he missed a 33-yarder, and Varick missed a 42-yarder. Now Gordon will set up his tee at the 27, so that'll be a 37-yard field goal, and it's coming from the left hash mark to make it a little bit more difficult. As Sal Mastretta, the head coach of Sayreville, and Marcus Borden, the head coach of East Brunswick, each addressing the troops. 6 seconds remaining. One more shot as Gordon will take another look at its tee, make sure it's just where he wants it, and try to line this baby up. As Marcus Borden leaves the huddle.
It's probably going to come down to a matter of where the wind is and the timing of this, because he missed the 33-yarder before in that swirling wind, and Varick missed a 40-yarder.
Wind is blowing from left to right across the field. Tenor is the holder. Be a 37-yarder. Good snap, placed down cleanly, and it's going to be low. Could have been partially deflected in there. He popped it, line drive, and 1 second remains. Looked like that might have been deflected.
I think it might have been as well. He really wound up hitting a line drive that fell well short. So East Brunswick has failed now on 3 field goal attempts.
And we remain scoreless. And again, you never know, that wind might have just held it down a little bit. See if Sayreville goes for one big Hail Mary type play. They send 3 wide receivers to the left side. Warden is a lone setback. McKelney the quarterback. Straight back, looking to launch it deep downfield, going for Roberts. Turns the wrong way, out of bounds, incomplete. And the first half has come to an end, and we are scoreless. And Gordy, the way things started out, it looked like East Brunswick would control the game. Sayreville fumbling the opening kickoff, and then fumbling once again on the first down, first possession, but not the case.
We can't say East Brunswick hasn't had its chances. As you mentioned, those turnovers were key, but Sayreville's defense able to hold up and had a couple of missed field goals by East Brunswick, and we've got ourselves a scoreless tie at the half.
And let's also note that Varnell Johnson taking a ride on a golf cart off the field, so he might be shaken up. He missed an offensive series that we saw, but then he came back and played a couple of downs on defense. So what his health situation is, we don't know. Very tough defensive ball game in the first half, and we are scoreless. And we'll be back for the second half in 1 moment.
gentlemen, at this time, the East Brunswick High School Marching Band would like to thank the following seniors for their years of dedication and hard work. Allison Ahrens, Diana Delacruz, Pamela Edgecombe, Sheila Gamerton, Jeffrey Jenkins, Megan Glover, Steve Green, Karen Jones, Ray King, Gail Node, Steve Lipnick, Matt Molesky, Stephen Morales, Kathy Olendorf, Sonia Parkin, Carrie Roberts, Dan Sadowski, Vicki Sherman, Edward Sheridan, Frederick Zack. Seniors will all be missed. Good luck in whatever you do.
Second half action just moments away here at East Brunswick's J. Doyle Field. No score between these two GMC Red Division clubs. Sayreville and East Brunswick 0-0 after 24 minutes of play in the first half. Gordy Deal alongside Phil Hill. Sayreville 2 early turnovers, one on the opening kickoff that gave East Brunswick the ball at the Sayreville 23. And 3 plays later, East Brunswick ended the series with a 33-yard missed field goal. Sayreville then took over from its own 16 and fumbled the ball in its first play of the game from scrimmage. Then East Brunswick took over at the Sayreville 31, got all the way to the 4 before an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty was called, and East Brunswick then missed a 40-yard field goal. So then the teams battled it out between the 20s with the only big play, a 36-yard completion from Sayreville quarterback Harry McKelney to Tom Roberts down to the East Brunswick 26. But on a 4th and 13 from the 29, McKelney's pass went incomplete into the end zone. That was Sayreville's only real scoring threat. East Brunswick then missed another field goal, this one from the 37 yards away to close out the first half, and we are scoreless as we begin the second half. Phil, you've seen this club all year. What kind of things it is going to have to do to knock off this tough Sayreville club?
I'll tell you, they're going to have to get their special teams involved. One of the ways that Sal Mastretta was fearing, he said that he can't let the Bears special teams score on them. They're going to have to get Varnell Johnson loose. Varnell Johnson has easily been 3/4 of the team this year. He does it, probably the only man in the county that has scored a touchdown every way. Receiving, interception, fumble recovery, kickoff return, punt return. So he's very versatile. So Varnell Johnson, you got to get the ball in Varnell Johnson's hands. The Bears themselves got to be wary about being weighed down by this Bomber team because they're much larger.
And we mentioned it before, Varnell Johnson can score from anywhere at any time on his football field. Probably the best athlete out there and one of the few players in the GMC capable of doing so. So no score as we get set to begin the second half. These two teams not in the state playoffs this year, but still plenty to play for. Not only has this developed into a tremendous rivalry over the past couple of seasons, especially with the job that Sal Mastretta has done over at Sayreville, but Sayreville with a win can finish in sole possession of 3rd place in the GMC Red Division, while a win for East Brunswick could mean a tie for 4th. And after the rough start they had, that would certainly be good news for East Brunswick fans. So Sayreville getting set to kick it off. This is Tom Roberts, number 24. Varnell Johnson, Jim Varick, the deep men. This is Varick at his own 15 across the 20 with some room. 25, 30, across the 35. And torn down at the 42-yard line. Tackle on the play by James Kirk on the special teams for Sayreville. And East Brunswick looks like it might have some momentum to start the second half.
Well, I'll tell you, Gordy, Sayreville deliberately trying to keep it away from Varnell Johnson, but this kid Varick is a speed burner himself, so they picked up good yardage.
East Brunswick takes over 1st and 10 from its own 42-yard line. No score just underway here in the 3rd quarter between Sayreville and East Brunswick. This is Neary, the quarterback, throwing and incomplete to Brian Tenora at about the 47-yard line. So it'll bring up a 2nd and 10 for East Brunswick.
And you had Scott Mission on the tackle there. Brian Tenora, a big-time receiver for the Bears. Of course, we all know the story out the early part of the season, came back the last 4 games, has scored a touchdown in the last 3 games, so very integral part of this Bear offense.
So it's a 2nd and 10. East Brunswick still from its own 42-yard line. Backs in the eye. Emil Habib is wide to the right-hand side. Handoff straight up the middle and nothing doing there except the center of that Sayreville defensive line led by James Kirk.
And I'll tell you, Gordy, defense has been the name of the game for Sayreville for the past few years. Last year, they were number 3 in the county as far as giving up points, gave up 91 points last year. This year, they have only given up 89 points. Very tough on defense.
Very up-and-coming club for Sal Mastretta. Sayreville last year with its first winning season since 1968. 2 consecutive winning seasons for the Bombers. Backs are split this time for quarterback Neary. Rolling to his right, being chased and under heavy pressure. And a sack on the play for Brian Rathman, who came from the right-hand side. And a big setback for East Brunswick.
A big setback for the Bears. As you pointed out, coming from the blind side there, Neary never saw him.
So East Brunswick, after that solid kickoff return to start the third quarter, will have to punt it away to Sayreville. We have watched this game being played between the 20s for almost the entire first half. Varick with a high kick. And Sayreville's going to run some trickery. DJ Cleary takes the handoff, but is met hard right at the 29-yard line. Good job on special teams for East Brunswick. In there was Marty Lucarello, and a solid stop for Lucarello.
Marty really laid one on the Sayreville ball carrier there. Special teams has been a big part of the Bears since Marcus Borden has been here, and shown a little talent right there.
So Sayreville will set up camp 1st and 10 from its own 28-yard line. No score, 9:54 left to play, third quarter. Gordy Deal alongside Phil Hill here at J. Doyle Field in East Brunswick. Sayreville working from right to left. In the away, gray uniforms. East Brunswick in the home, dark green jerseys. Backs are in the I formation for quarterback Harry Nikelny. The pitch goes to Warden around the right side with some room across the 30. Out near the 35-yard line. They'll spot it very close to the 35. So a pickup on the play of about 7 yards for fullback Eric Warden.
And Eric Warden is their big money man. Comes in this game with about 550 yards, 577 to be exact, coming into this game. And he's the man they count on from the backfield.
Warden, a 5'10", 180-pound senior. Wears number 44. 2nd and 4 for Sayreville. Backs in the I formation. The second man through was Warden again, who's got some room in his second effort. Looks like it gave him a first down. So a couple of good carries in a row for Eric Warden.
I'll tell you, a good-looking, hard-nosed runner there with that Warden. Picking up the legs and not stopping.
5-yard pickup for Eric Warden. And Sayreville showing some life on offense. 1st and 10 from its own 40. The backs are split. Now they move into the I formation. DJ Cleary wide to the right. The pitch to Warden across the 40 and stopped at about the 42-yard line. So that time East Brunswick showing good lateral pursuit on defense.
And Jim Varick coming in from the backside to make the tackle there.
It'll bring up a 2nd and 8 for Sayreville.
And I tell you, Sayreville not a big passing team, but they look like they're pretty much setting up the Bears for something here. Let's see.
2nd and 8, Sayreville from its own 42-yard line. No score, 8:06 left to play, third quarter. Backs in the I formation. Again, it's DJ Cleary, wide to the right. And they throw the screen out to Cleary, who is across the 40. Now the 45 with some room across midfield into East Brunswick territory, down out around near the 35-yard line of East Brunswick. So you made the call, Phil. They were setting up East Brunswick for that screen, and Cleary made some noise with it.
I tell you, Cleary is the big play receiver, too. As you saw, good speed and almost broke it.
They marked the ball officially on the 34-yard line. So a 24-yard pickup for Sayreville. And they're in business in East Brunswick territory and really showing no signs of slowing down at this point. First and 10, Sayreville from the East Brunswick. Make it the 36-yard line. Here's Mish up the middle with some room. And that Sayreville offensive line maybe starting to wear down that East Brunswick defense as Mish gets across the 30 to about the 29.
And we'll have to watch that, Gordy. That may be the story. We know it's early in the second half, but the size of the Bombers is sooner or later is going to take its toll on the Bears.
Sayreville offensive line led by number 74, James Kirk, who's done a tremendous job all year at 6'2", 250 and a senior. He is a tough one at right guard for Sayreville. Again, backs in the I formation. 2nd and 3 for Sayreville at the East Brunswick 29. Handoff to Warden. Tripped up and spills across the 33, maybe down to about the 27-yard line. Maybe a pickup of 2 yards for Eric Warden.
Okay, Bob Varell, the first tackler in on that play there.
So it'll be a 2-yard pickup for Warden, who's done the bulk of the running here to start the third quarter. DJ Cleary wide to the right-hand side. Mish and Warden, the backs for Nikelny. Handoff to the first man through is Mish. And Nick Lordy, one of the wideouts, pointing that he does have a first down. We'll await word from the officials.
It's close.
They may have to bring in the chain gang to have a look at this one. It looks like he's got it. And he does. First down, Sayreville at the East Brunswick 26-yard line.
And it's right here where the Bears have to do something to disrupt the rhythm that the Bombers seem to have right now. If not, they could be in deep trouble.
Sayreville with a lot of offensive momentum at this point. Now the wishbone backfield for Harry McKelney. McKelney drops back to throw, play action. And nearly picked off by Varnell Johnson, but it is complete for Sayreville. Down at the 10-yard line.
Wow. Varnell Johnson stepping right in. I'm sure he saw the interception, bounced off his hands, and as you pointed out, right in the Sayreville receiver's hand.
Brian Rathbun concentrating the whole way.
Exactly.
Took it right out of Varnell Johnson's hands. Well, you said East Brunswick had to do something to disrupt that Sayreville offensive momentum. They had a chance right there. But credit Brian Rathbun. 1st and 10. They marked the ball at the East Brunswick 11-yard line. Handoff up the middle, and not much doing for Eric Warden that time.
And Bob Varela on the tackle, and it's a play that we've seen so often by so many teams. They split trips to the right, and then they try to fool you and then run the ball up the middle. Everybody's done that this year, so everybody's used to it. The Bears stopped it.
Like Eric Warden, the Sayreville tailback, actually lost a yard on the play. It'll be a 2nd and 12. Low man in the backfield is Warden again. Back to pass McKelney. He's got time, throws over the middle, but one hops it down around the 6-yard line. Pass intended for Brian Rathbun. Coverage on the play by Dave Christensen, and it'll bring up a 3rd down and long situation for Sayreville. Sayreville needs to get up inside the 1-yard line for a first down, so they can get a first down without scoring a touchdown. And we'll see what head coach Sal Mistretta has in store for this Sayreville offense.
Well, I keep my eye on Cleary.
Cleary wide to the right-hand side. Backs in the I formation. Lordy is split left. McKelney rolls back under pressure, throws over the middle, and it is deflected by Emil Habib at the goal line and almost caught by Brian Rathbun in the end zone, but it falls incomplete.
I'll tell you, another opportunity, missed opportunity for the Bears. The Bears are playing good defense, cannot hold on to the ball.
And Sayreville, it appears, will come on and try a field goal attempt. Looking to draw first blood in this scoreless tie with 4:52 left to play in the 3rd quarter.
And talked to Sal Mistretta about his kicking game earlier in the week, and he just said, well, that's one of our weak spots, so it'd be interesting to see what happens here.
Tom Roberts looking to give Sayreville the lead. 4:52 left to play. It's a 29-yard attempt. Plenty of leg. And Tom Roberts splits the uprights, and Sayreville leads it 3-0.
As I pointed out, Gordy, that's one of the weak spots.
Don't tell that to Tom Roberts.
Nice kick.
So after a scoreless first half, Sayreville on its first possession here in the 3rd quarter marches all the way into East Brunswick territory. They've got it all the way down to the 12-yard line. It was a 50-yard drive, capped off by Tom Roberts' 29-yard field goal with 4:48 left to play in the 3rd. Sayreville leads it 3-0.
And if you're Sal Mistretta, you got to be really pleased coming out right after the half, driving the ball down, taking it to East Brunswick, and coming away with some points. Not the touchdown, but some points. And the way this game is going, looks like a 6 or 9 points could win it. 3 points, perhaps.
12-play, 60-yard drive for Sayreville. Tom Roberts, the 29-yard field goal. And now Roberts kicks off to East Brunswick. Varick fumbles the ball momentarily, but picks it up and has some room across the 30. 35 still on his feet. If he had broke one more tackle, he would have had 6 points, but Varick finally brought down by the Sayreville special teams on the 43-yard line. Good field position for East Brunswick for their 2nd offensive series here in the 3rd quarter.
Jim Varick, the junior, putting on a show on the specialty teams.
Varnell Johnson, one of East Brunswick's offensive weapons, on the sidelines. Baxter split. Neary rolling, fires, complete to Tenora in Sayreville territory. Pass caught at about the 49, and Tenora's second effort gets him up inside the 45 to about the 43-yard line. First down for East Brunswick.
And Brian Tenora showing good hands, good soft hands. A nice pass by Cleary.
14-yard pickup on the completion from Mark Neary to Brian Tenora. East Brunswick 1st and 10 from the Sayreville 43. Just under 4 minutes left to play, third quarter. Sayreville on top, 3-0. Backs in the I formation. Christensen and Johnson, 2 men wide to the left. That's Varnell Johnson in motion to the left. And it's a screen pass to Johnson, being chased. He's got room, though, across the 40. Inside the 40, down to about the 37-yard line, maybe to 36. So a good pickup for Varnell Johnson, who gets about 7 on the play.
And the Bombers close down on him, and you got to hold your breath anytime Varnell Johnson gets his hands on the ball. He's a dangerous offensive weapon.
Good pursuit on the play by Sean Kilcommons. Chasing down Varnell Johnson is no easy task. Johnson and Christensen are the back split behind Neary, who's rolling to his right. Gets a good block from Johnson and fires, and nearly intercepted by Sayreville. In on the play for that Sayreville defense, number 37, Keith Dwyer, who's done a nice job all season. Pass intended for Brian Tenora. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 4 for East Brunswick.
Neary coming a little sidearm there, and Dwyer just playing it perfectly. And 3rd down, don't be surprised by a run here. Whereby the Bombers do some running to set up the pass, the Bears pass in order to set up a run. So let's see.
See what East Brunswick has in store offensively. 3rd and 4 with 3 minutes left to play, third quarter. Fires wide to the right-hand side, does Mark Neary, complete to Emil Habib. And it is going to be an East Brunswick 1st down. So after these teams spurted offensively throughout the entire first half, they've come out on fire here in the second. And with 2:54 and counting left to play in the third quarter, it's 1st down for East Brunswick at the Sayreville 32.
And Emil Habib, nice catch. He's Mr. Versatility, does everything for the Bears.
2 men come wide to the right-hand side for East Brunswick. The back's in the eye, hand off to Varnell Johnson. Inside the 30, they'll mark his forward progress to about the 29. Took about 4 Sayreville tacklers to stop him.
And I tell you, people talk about Troy Thornburg, his size and so forth, and his heart, but he has nothing on Varnell Johnson. Varnell Johnson has much heart as any back in the county.
It'll bring up a 2nd and 7 situation for East Brunswick, just inside the Sayreville 30, working on that left hash mark. Backs are split. Tenora wide right. Cavalli left. Neary in trouble. Throws way out of bounds. Pass intended for Tenora.
And I tell you, Mark is probably a little upset. Tenora broke his pattern and was supposed to be a down, out, and up. And Tenora saw his quarterback in trouble, and good receivers do come back to the quarterback. But if he would have continued, perhaps Neary would have had a chance to complete it.
So it's now a 3rd and 7 for East Brunswick. East Brunswick perhaps momentarily lost a little bit of that offensive momentum. 3rd and 7 from the Sayreville 29 with 1:51 left to play in the third quarter, and Sayreville leading it 3-0. 2 men wide right. Backs are split for quarterback Mark Neary. Drops back to pass and rolling right again. Under some pressure, throws, and it is nearly intercepted. In and out of the hands.
Eric Warden.
There on the play for East Brunswick. Pass intended for Alan Hua. Just a little bit too tall for him.
I tell you, it hit Eric Warden's hands, then almost bounced into DJ Clary's hands. Bears were fortunate.
And we'll see what East Brunswick has in store here on a 4th and 7 from Sayreville's 29-yard line. It appears the Bears are going to go for it. They will send 4 men wide to the right-hand side, and Neary from the shotgun. Under heavy pressure and takes a shot, and the pass goes incomplete.
I'll tell you, he was looking for Varnell Johnson slanting in. The pass just never did develop because of the pressure.
And just a devastating hit from Sean Kilcummins for Sayreville, the 6'1", 190-pound senior. He came in a flurry, and Neary never saw him and took a real shot from Kilcummins, but Neary appears to be all right. And Sayreville will take over 1st and 10 from its own 29-yard line with 1:37 left to play in the 3rd quarter and a 3-0 lead. Sayreville comes to the line. 2 men come to the left, backs in the eye. Handoff up the middle to Warden, who's got some room. Out to about the 45-yard line. 35-yard line, I should say. Pick up about 6 yards on the play for tailback Eric Warden.
Good hard runner, this Warden.
It'll bring up a 2nd and 4. Sayreville from its own 35. Lordy and Cleary are wide to the left. Mission Warden. The I formation. And Jay Adocio wraps up Eric Warden right at the line of scrimmage. Nothing doing for Warden that time. And again, Jay Adocio getting good penetration for that East Brunswick defensive line.
And it's something Jay Adocio has been doing all year. As a matter of fact, for the last 3 years. Second leading tackler on this Bear defensive team, and he is the heart and soul of it.
Actually a loss on the play of about a yard. It'll bring up a 3rd and 5 for Sayreville. From its own 34, backs in the I formation. Lordy wide left. It's Neary. Near the top of your screen. McKilney to throw, complete. And 1st down yardage. Scott Mish on the reception. 1st down for Sayreville out to the 43-yard line. Still in its own territory though, but 1st down situation for the Bombers.
I'll tell you, Gordy, I've seen a number of quarterbacks this year, and I've seen better passers, better runners, but not anyone that handle the ball as well. He does a nice job of faking the ball with the ball.
And one of Sayreville's best athletes is junior quarterback Harry McKilney. And we have come to the end of the 3rd quarter. 3 points on the board. They all belong to Sayreville. 29-yard field goal by Tom Roberts, the difference. Sayreville on top of East Brunswick 3-0 as we get set for 4th quarter action. Phil, East Brunswick has shown that it can move the ball.
They have. They just got to continue to mix it up. You notice that Neary is doing rolling out a lot to stay away from that tremendous pressure that the Bear defense is putting on. They just have to connect with something. They have to mix it up nicely, and if they keep it up that way, something's going to break sooner or later.
So as the 4th quarter gets underway, Sayreville with a 1st and 10 situation from its own 43-yard line, looking to expand that 3-0 lead. It's the regular season finale between these two GMC Red Division foes. It's developed into quite a rivalry over the last couple of years, even though East Brunswick has owned Sayreville over the last 28 years.
I'm laughing because when you talk about rivalries usually you beat me some and I beat you some. And of course we all know the story by now. 27 out of the last 28 times they played, the Bears have come away with a victory.
Sayreville with its 2nd consecutive winning season after 23 straight losing seasons. Sal Mistretta has done a nice job over at Sayreville to turn things around. Backs in the I formation for Sayreville, 1st and 10 from its own 43. The pitch to Eric Warden, who's across the 45 and stumbles out across the 50 and sneaks into East Brunswick territory down around the 49.
And you can give that tackle to Scott Mish. I mean, Warden was moving, fell over his own man, number 46. Otherwise, might have picked up some more yardage.
They spot the ball at the East Brunswick 49-yard line. A pickup of 7 on the play for Eric Warden. The way these two teams have moved the ball, here in the second half. It appears the defenses were left in the locker room at halftime. Backs are split for Sayreville. It'll bring up a 2nd and 2 situation for the Bombers. Backs in the I formation. Cleary, screen pass at midfield. Got some room across the 40, across the 30, inside at 20. He may go. And down around the 5-yard line is DJ Cleary on the screen pass. They're going to spot the ball officially at about the 4-yard line. So a 45-yard screen pass successful from Harry McKelney to DJ Cleary, and Sayreville in business on the big play to start the 4th quarter.
And I'll tell you, DJ Cleary showing something there. Not only speed, but he broke several tackles as well. Varnell Johnson being the last person having a shot at him, and Varnell's the all-time season leader tackler for the Bears, and wasn't able to bring Cleary down.
Sayreville looking to expand its 3-0 lead with 11:03 left to play in the 4th quarter. The Bombers 1st and goal from the East Brunswick 4, and it'll be up to this inspired East Brunswick defense to keep the Bombers out of the end zone. Here's McKelney throwing, and it is tipped 3 times before the pass falls incomplete in the end zone. A couple of players with a shot at that one. Ozzie Carrion was in there for East Brunswick. He couldn't grab it, and DJ Cleary couldn't hang on to it either. The pass goes incomplete, so East Brunswick dodges a bullet there, but by the same token, Sayreville dodges a bullet and that it wasn't intercepted.
That's a fact, and maybe at the end of this game, once the Bears look at it, they may be talking about missed opportunities. They've had their hands on the ball several times, not able to pull it in defensively.
So again, 2nd and goal from the 4-yard line for Sayreville. Backs now switch into the I formation. 2 men wide left. The handoff up the middle to Mish. Very near a touchdown, no signal yet. And he is just going to be just shy. Sayreville moves it up to the 1-yard line. 3rd and goal from the 1.
And you know who they're going to run that ball behind.
We'll see if they take it to the right side of James Kirk. Backs in the I formation. The handoff goes to Mish, and he's in for the touchdown. 1-yard touchdown run for Scott Mish. And that caps off a 71-yard drive for Sayreville. Had its way with the East Brunswick defense, and it's now 9-0 Sayreville.
And as expected, the Bombers took that ball in right behind James Kirk, and he's something else on that line.
So the drive goes 8 plays, 71 yards. And here's Roberts in for the PAT, and he splits the uprights again. Now Sayreville has come out on fire here in the second half. And with 10:17 left to play in the 4th quarter, it's Sayreville 10, East Brunswick nothing.
And Gordy, I'll tell you, you talked about the fact that Sal Mastretta for the 2nd year in a row has a winning season. But I talked to him earlier in the week, and he talked about really wanting to beat this Bear team. He said he didn't have to use any psychology or anything on the players. None of these players on the team have ever beaten the Bears. He said, but besides that, the people around town, when the people around town talk about the one thing that they would like to do is to beat East Brunswick, and it appears that they may have their chance today.
Sayreville with a 10-0 lead and 10:17 left to play in the ball game. Tom Roberts, some last-minute instructions for his special teams as he gets set to kick it off. To Varnell Johnson and Jim Varick, the deep men for East Brunswick, standing on their own 13-yard line. Roberts with the wave and the kickoff. It's a little pooch that bounces right on the 20 and skips out of bounds. Strange enough that they're kicking it to Varnell Johnson's side, Phil.
Surprising. I'll tell you, Varnell took a chance there, waiting for the ball to go out of bounds. The field's a little damp, a little soggy, and stranger things have been known to happen where a ball just stops dead, and the Bombers were down on it about that time. Varnell was still looking at it. Fortunately, it went out of bounds.
Now on the kickoff to start the second half, they kicked it off to Jim Varick. It hit his hands, and he pushed the ball free momentarily, but able to pick it up and made a good run out of it. So Sayreville probably unsure who to kick it to at this point.
Well, the Bears have been known to do a number of things. Someone will get their hands on the ball and pitch it back to Varnell. That's how much they like to get the ball in his hands.
So Tom Roberts will do it all over again after they set him back 5 yards. He'll kick it off from his own 35 now. Varnell Johnson and Jim Varick move up near the 20-yard line. Here's the boot. This time they go to Varick's side. It bounces at the 24. Varick picks it up, hand off to Johnson across the 30, 35. Out to about the 37, maybe the 38-yard line. So decent field position for East Brunswick. And with 10:08 to play in the fourth quarter, they've got a 10-point deficit against Sayreville.
And I'll tell you, as you look at the Bears, one thinks that they have to do something differently. I don't think they're going to do much different. They just need to punch it in. They've been able to move the ball, but the Bombers have stopped them at key times.
Mark Neary will work out of the shotgun formation. East Brunswick, 4 men to the right-hand side. Now being chased by Kirk, gets rid of it, and it goes incomplete. Intended for Varnell Johnson. Pass falls incomplete at about the 44-yard line. It'll bring up a 2nd and 10 for East Brunswick from its own 38.
And Varnell slipping on that reception attempt there. 2 defenders right there with him, however.
So the big play for Sayreville, 45-yard pass attempt from Harry McKelney to DJ Cleary, setting up Sayreville's big touchdown early in the fourth quarter. And now a fumbled snap, the ball still loose. And Neary's going to have to eat it right at about the 31-yard line.
And I'll tell you, the first time we've seen that play today, it appeared to be a draw play to Varnell Johnson, and just mix up on the handoff.
Neary out of the shotgun. Unclean handoff to Varnell Johnson, and East Brunswick now staring at a 3rd down and very long. 3rd and 18. East Brunswick from its own 31. Again, 4 men to the right. Neary throws it to Varnell Johnson. Probably not a good move there. Varnell Johnson covered very well. Sayreville read that the whole way, but flags are down. And we'll wait to see what the call is. East Brunswick moved that time.
Clip. I was looking for another East Brunswick player in the area near Varnell. I didn't see him, but apparently a player threw a clip, and they'll march him back.
Well, they probably would have preferred my call, but they're going to march East Brunswick even deeper into its own territory. So East Brunswick finds itself working backwards. And now we'll have to punt the ball away deep in its own territory. And Sayreville, once again, can probably expect pretty good field position as they look to add on to that 10-point lead. 10-0 Sayreville, okay, leading East Brunswick with just under 9 minutes to play in the ballgame. Varick in to punt. The snap is high. He gets it away. DJ Cleary is just going to let the ball roll dead at about the 46-yard line, where Sayreville was set up 1st and 10.
Well, you called it, Gordy. Good field position, and certainly to the Bears' disadvantage at this point in time, the way the Bombers have been moving. And you can bet Sal Mastretta simply wants to control the ball at this stage of the game.
And you can figure on Eric Warden and Scott Mish getting a lot of running time. 8:25 left to play, fourth quarter. Warden, the lone man in the backfield for Harry McKelney. They send 2 men wide to the right-hand side. Handoff up the middle. Not much doing there.
Bombers coming with the counter there, hoping to catch the Bears. The Bears played it well.
Joey Cavallaro, the sophomore, taking the handoff from McKelney. Picked up a yard on the play out to the 47. 2nd and 9, Sayreville from its own 47. They lead East Brunswick 10-0. Less than 8 minutes to play in the game. This time the handoff to Warden up the middle, who's got some room out near first down yardage to the 45 into East Brunswick territory. Maybe a foot or so shy of that first down marker. It'll bring up a 3rd and short.
And I'll tell you, nothing flashy about Eric Warden. Just a good, hard-nosed runner. And we've seen very few runners that run as hard as he does.
8-yard pickup on the play for the Sayreville senior tailback, Eric Warden. Into East Brunswick territory is Sayreville at the EB 45. 3rd and 1. Backs in the I formation for McKelney. Handoff to the up man, Scott Mish, and he's got another Sayreville first down. Two-yard pickup on the play for Scott Mish. Another senior in that backfield for head coach Sal Mistretta.
And we probably won't see another pass this game from the Bombers.
1st and 10, Sayreville from the East Brunswick 43. Roberts in motion to the right-hand side. Backs in the I formation. Handoff up the middle to Eric Warden. All kinds of room. He may go. He's being chased by Varick, and Varick catches up to him, but not before. Eric Warden is all the way down to the East Brunswick 7-yard line. 36-yard run for Eric Warden. And you're right, no need to pass it when the running game is working that well for you.
Two things happening. Good blocking by that Bomber line, and as Sal Mistretta said, we hope to wear them down by the end of the game, and I think that's exactly what's happening.
So another big play for Sayreville. They have relied on the big play all game to set them up for their scoring opportunities. 6:15 left to play, 4th quarter. 1st and goal from the 8-yard line. Again, the handoff to Warden, but nothing doing there. He meets the center of that East Brunswick defensive line. Lost a couple of yards on the play.
I'll tell you, and the Bears showing some heart there. You got Gerbervac, Varela, host of tacklers.
So it'll be a 1-yard loss. It'll bring up a 2nd and goal, this time from the 10-yard line for Sayreville. Backs in the I formation. Mish the fullback, Warden the tailback. McKelney keeps it, and he is wrapped up on the play. Looked like Nick Szymanski was in there for East Brunswick.
And a big play for the Bears.
I think Marcus Borden has pulled this before, where Szymanski actually changes shirts, puts on the 89. Normally number 67 on offense, but changes to 89 on defense. So great lateral pursuit by Nick Szymanski, who is a 6'2", 205-pound junior. So Marcus Borden, glad to have back Nick Szymanski.
And I think we're going to see a little play action here. I said they weren't going to pass the ball, but I think we're going to see a little play action right here. Fake into the line and pop it.
3rd and 14 for Sayreville. Backs in the I. One man right, one man left. Here's McKelney rolling under pressure from Varela, and the pass goes incomplete. Great defensive play by Varnell Johnson to bat the pass away from Scott Mish, and East Brunswick will take over on downs.
A great defensive effort by Varnell Johnson once again.
I was down ahead of myself. Now it's 4th down and 14. We'll see what Sayreville has in store for this point. No field goal attempt here. Backs in the I formation once again. McKelney with the handoff to Warden. The pitch back to McKelney, who throws deep in the end zone, way out of the end zone. Great penetration again by Jay Adocio from the center of that defensive line.
And I tell you, rather surprising call by Sal Mistretta. A flea flicker at this juncture of the game here. Had to know that the Bears were going to be putting the pressure on. Jay Adocio's been able to get in there from time to time, and that just really disrupted everything.
So my prophecy comes true. East Brunswick takes over on downs. But again, from its own 14-yard line, and East Brunswick has had a little bit of trouble moving the ball, although they've moved a little bit better in this half than they did in the first half. But once again, they're going to have to get out of their own territory unless they're going to wind up giving it up to Sayreville again in good field position. So East Brunswick 1st and 10 from its own 14, trailing 10-0. Neary rolling right, under pressure from Kilcommons, and pass interference on the play. Pass intended for Christensen. 3 flags fly.
Keith Dwyer a little close on the Bear receiver's back. Interference.
I don't think Keith was really watching the play develop that much. He ran up and knocked Christensen right in the back. That'll give East Brunswick the first down. And they will mark that off 15 yards. All the way out to the 29-yard line. Well, that's one way to move the football.
That's for sure. They got to go to the receivers. You can expect to be put up. You can expect Brian Tenor to be involved in here, or certainly if Johnson split out right, split out to him. He's in the backfield.
2 men come wide to the right. The backs are split. Neary rolling to his left. Elects to run it. And under all kinds of pressure, and finally wrapped up by Nick Lordy out of bounds, probably right at about the original line of scrimmage. It'll bring up a 2nd down and 10 for East Brunswick from its own 29.
Well, I'll tell you, Neary had presence of mind at least to get out of bounds in order to stop the clock. Good move on his part. Bears not able to pick up much. Tenor did break over the middle there. Neary couldn't see him, however.
.4:21 left to play, 4th quarter. Sayreville leads East Brunswick 10-0. East Brunswick with the ball on the move. 2nd and 10 from its own 29-yard line. Backs are split. Barnell Johnson and Dave Christensen. 1 man wide right, 1 to the left. Neary rolling out. Got some room over the middle. Pass intended for Varela, but it falls incomplete. And it'll bring up a 3rd down and 10 for East Brunswick. Well, that short passing game, that hurry-up offense worked well last week against Madison Central early on. Able to move the ball very effectively against that Spartan defense, but then it sort of just sputtered. And today with East Brunswick having to battle the wind, and not only that, a 10-point deficit at this point of the game, and it's a real uphill battle for the Bears.
Well, the Bombers have seen just about anything the Bears have been able to throw at them, and they've been able to contain it. That's not stop it all the time, but certainly contain it, and that's all they want to do at this juncture.
3rd and 10 for East Brunswick from its own 29. Barnell Johnson comes to the sidelines now. 2 men wide left, Neary to throw. And it's picked off by Sayreville at the 15-yard line, and running it into the end zone for the Bombers to get the score is Damian Mamain, who has had defensive pressure all afternoon, and he's finally rewarded with an interception, and he scampers into the end zone.
And just a fine read by the Sayreville defender, and clearly the backbreaker for the Bears. Rather disheartening.
So Mark Neary rolling out to his left-hand side where he had 2 receivers set up, fired back across to the right-hand side, and Damian Mamain makes the interception. He's a big fella, goes 5'10", 190, and a senior. And what a way for him to wrap up his career at Sayreville High School.
Any lineman's dream.
Interception return for a touchdown. He is not the fleetest of foot, but he didn't have far to go, and there wasn't too many people near him. And he scampers in for 6 points. Tom Roberts in to kick the extra point, but the whistles blow before the kick actually gets off. Sayreville with a 16-0 lead. The extra point would make it 17. Sayreville, see if they can get it right this time. The ball placed down, held by Lordy. And Roberts again splits the upright. So with 4:06 left to play in the ball game, Sayreville leads East Brunswick 17-0.
And I tell you, that interception certainly was the backbreaker for the Bears. But if you're a Bomber fan, you certainly got to be glad. So many years of not really getting close many times to beating the Bears, and they seem to be on their way to a rather convincing victory right here.
Such an up and down season all year for East Brunswick, losing their first 4 games of the year without Mark Neary, coming back to beat West Windsor, J.P. Stevens, and Perth Amboy, and the Bears were 3-4. Tough loss last week, but for the most part contained Madison Central in another good GMC Red Division battle. And Bears come in tonight at 3-5. Sayreville with the momentum at 5-3. They've had a good season. Things are certainly looking up for Sayreville, and you know that Marcus Borden will have his troops ready for next season.
That's for sure.
Just an injury problem. What can you do, really, other than throw your hands up and ask your players to give 150% every time they get on the field, and that's what East Brunswick has done this year.
That's for sure, Gordy. They haven't given up. They've constantly put out, I said it at the beginning of the year, no disrespect to the team. It's about horses. When you don't have the horses, you can't do it. Last year, Madison Central didn't have the horses. They went 1-8. This year, the Bears didn't, and they've gone 3-5 thus far. So
East Brunswick certainly played Madison Central tough last week, and Madison Central could well be the odds-on favorite at this point to win the Central Jersey Group 4. And now,
I don't know if it went 10, Gordy. They're saying onside. They're saying yes, they did. And believe me, that wasn't purposeful. I think
I agree.
The Bomber kicker just missed it, and they recovered. Sal Mastretta is such a class guy; he would not do an onside kick at this juncture of the game.
And Sal Mastretta and Marcus Borden, both coaches, are such good friends. You can bet that was not intentional. But either way, Craig Fulton comes up with the ball for Sayreville on the onside kick. Sayreville calls timeout.
And you can see Sal walking out on the field there, and the look on his face is like, I mean, why can't you kick the ball away? You pointed out, Gordy, they're good friends. Sal said coming into this game, it's the type of game it should be, a game between good friends. Certainly I would like to beat them, but we've done so many things together, going to conferences together, clinics together, and running that BMY camp together. So clearly Sal's probably as upset as Marcus is about his team recovering that onside kick.
It'll be interesting to see what the conversation is between players and coaches at this point. I'd love to be a fly on the wall down there. Sal Mastretta almost apologetic as he came across the field,
right.
Had his palms of his hands outstretched to Marcus Borden as if to say, sorry, don't know what went wrong. Either way, that's all history now. Sayreville with the ball and a 17-point lead from the East Brunswick 45. Hand off to Eric Gordon, who's got some room, and he's wrapped up at the 40-yard line. Bring up a 2nd down and 5 for Sayreville.
And the Bombers called timeout for some reason.
And they're going to collect a game ball there for Eric Warden.
No, I'll tell you what that is. That's for Vince Mastretta, Sal's father, whose last game is today. Vince has coached with Sal for the last 5 years, former head coach for 16 years at North Westside High School, and this is his last game. So Sal's feeling a little ambivalent, and it's a nice gesture on the part of the team to give Vince Mastretta the game ball.
And we talked about that early on. What a great family relationship that is. Vince Mastretta, the assistant coach to his son Sal. He gets the game ball, and a lot of congratulations. You see the embrace there from his son Sal.
I'll tell you, a real nice touch.
Emotional moment on the Sayreville sideline. The swan song for Vince Mastretta, and what a way to go out. Watching his son's team beat East Brunswick for only the 2nd time in 29 meetings. 2nd and 5, Sayreville. And And in at quarterback for Sayreville now is Dennis Coyle, the 5'5", 140-pound sophomore. So Coyle getting some work.
And Craig Nallett, number 33, another sophomore, getting a little action himself.
This is probably just what the doctor ordered for Sayreville. 10 of 11 players, 21 overall, are seniors. So Sal Mastretta loses a lot heading into next year, and nothing better for his younger players than to get a little work against a quality club like East Brunswick late in the ball game. 3 minutes to play. Sayreville on top, 17-0. Here's Coyle. Pitch in the backfield and over and across the 40-yard line was Keith Dwyer.
And Doshio and Christensen down on the bottom of that tackle on the pile. And this has marked this Bear team. They've been knocked around quite a bit this year, but they have not given up.
So to bring up a 4th down, 4 yards to go. Sayreville from the East Brunswick 39. Coyle, the sophomore, and a quarterback. Again, hands off up to Keith Dwyer, who is wrapped up by Jay Adocio. He'll lose about 4 yards on the play, and East Brunswick will take over on downs. So Dennis Coyle gets a couple of plays of work. And seeing him in at quarterback may mean he is the heir apparent. No, because Harry McKelney is actually only a junior,
That's
so
right,
McKelney will be back, but a good chance for Coyle to get some work and make him even more of a solid backup to McKelney next year. Several key Sayreville offensive players come back, including junior quarterback Harry McKelney, along with DJ Cleary, who is a junior wideout. East Brunswick takes over, 1st and 10 with 1:40 left to play. They trail by 17. Ball on their own 43-yard line. Neary still in at quarterback, running the option across the 45, down about the 47-yard line.
I'll tell you, Neary running the option there, I just knew he was going to pitch to Varnell Johnson, who was trailing him there, and Varnell looked as if he might have been able to pick up some good yardage on the outside.
Now, you've seen a lot of Varnell Johnson this year. What might his collegiate career consist of? Where could you see him playing? What position?
I'll tell you, I see him defensively. Marcus says, however, that a number of teams, including Rutgers, is interested in him as a wideout. I see him in the mode of Ron Allen as for Rutgers. He would be a great special team player, return man. I don't think there's a better one in the county. Maybe not in state for that fact. They just haven't kicked him all year once they found out what he could do early on. But I see him as a special teams member and perhaps playing some defense. Few teams are interested in him offensively.
Neary's pass falls incomplete. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 5 for East Brunswick from its own 47-yard line. Time winding down, 56 seconds left to play in the season. Dave Christensen, Varnell Johnson, the backs that are split. Neary rolls out, rolling right. Wants to carry it himself. Thrown out of bounds by Nick Lordy. Well shy of the 1st down marker. 4th down situation for East Brunswick.
And as you see Neary walking back to the huddle there, it's been a tough year for him. Injuries in the early part of the year. Did come back and bring the Bears 3 victories, but as of late it's been real tough.
Two men come wide to the left for East Brunswick. Neary to throw, rolling to his left, now being chased. And the ball is batted down. In on the play, giving some good defensive pressure was number 26, Sean Gallagher, the 5'11", 185-pound senior. He batted that pass down. And Sayreville will take over on downs now. 39 seconds left to play here in the 4th quarter. Sayreville leads it 17-0 over East Brunswick. The season finale, the game that was rained down on Friday night. Dennis Coyle, the sophomore, in at quarterback for Sayreville. Getting some work. Harry McKilney, the junior quarterback, the starter, getting a rest. The Sal Mistretta gets some younger players some ball work. Time winding down, and 20 seconds left.
You may just see the quarterback kneel down here.
Oh, it's up to Dennis Coyle as a sophomore. He's not interested in kneeling it down. I can tell you that much.
He hasn't had too many snaps. They're not even going to go to the line.
He doesn't have a say in it. And the game is over. So Sayreville, in jubilant celebration on the far sideline, defeats East Brunswick by the final score of 17-0. Sayreville finishes at 6-3 on the season. East Brunswick a bit of a down year, inspired by the return of Mark Neary to the lineup, won 3 straight in the middle of the season, but closes out 3-6. Sayreville has to be looking forward to next year after 2 consecutive winning seasons. After 23 straight losing seasons, Sal Mistretta has done the job, but Marcus Borden and his troops are probably looking forward to next year just as well after the injuries they've had.
They've had some injuries. They have some young players. Marcus Borden is the type of coach that will have them ready next year. A lot of things caught them by surprise. I said once again, they really don't have the horses. They have some young talent. They have their 8th grade team, which is 8-1, and I think the freshman team undefeated. So they have some talent coming up that will certainly help this Bear team.
So if you look at it, things are looking up for both schools. Once again, the final score, Sayreville knocks off East Brunswick in this GMC regular season finale by the final score of 17-0. Sayreville finishes at 6-3 on the season. East Brunswick closes out at 3-6. For Pete Haskell, Phil Hill, all the on-site engineers here at Channel 8, my name is Gordy Deal. We'll see you next time.